Los Angeles, July 1972. A Tuesday morning that begins the way summer mornings often begin in Southern California, warm, bright, and already alive before most people are fully awake. By 9 o'clock the sun is strong, spreading across the streets with that familiar California confidence that says the day has already started. On Grand Avenue stands the Olympic Auditorium, a place that has witnessed decades of competition. Boxing matches, wrestling nights, and countless sporting events have filled this building with noise, effort, and anticipation. But today the crowd gathering inside is a little different. It is the kind of crowd martial arts tournaments attract. In the early 1970s, focused, serious, and quietly passionate practitioners, coaches, and devoted students of different styles settle into the bleachers. Some wear suits, others arrive in training clothes. Many have never met before, yet they share the same silent understanding. They all speak the same language of discipline and technique. By 10 in the morning, the auditorium is already 3/4 full. The air carries the familiar smell of an old competition hall, polished wood, cleaning solution, and the charged feeling that always appears when people are watching skill put to the test outside. Tuesday traffic moves as usual. Cars pass, buses stop. The city continues its routine without the slightest awareness that something memorable is about to unfold inside this building. Bruce Lee arrives quietly. It is July 1972. He is 31 years old. Wearing a dark jacket and simple trousers, he walks through the entrance with a calm, unhurried presence. Anyone who has spent time around him notices this immediately, the way every movement seems efficient. As if nothing unnecessary is allowed. He is not here to compete. He is not here to be noticed. Bruce finds a seat in the third row near the center aisle. He sits down and becomes completely still. It is the kind of stillness that feels deliberate, not empty, but fully aware. At first, most people around him do not recognize him. A few glance twice, many don't notice at all. To them, he is simply a lean man in a dark jacket sitting quietly among the crowd. Bruce Lee is here for a simple reason. He is always learning. For him, every demonstration, every movement, every technique is information, something to observe, something to understand, something to absorb. The morning begins with junior divisions. Young competitors step onto the floor and perform their forms. Their techniques are correct, but their bodies still carry the slight hesitation of youth. That space between knowing a movement and fully becoming it, Bruce watches closely. His attention is intense but calm, the kind of focus that studies movement rather than simply seeing it. Coaches call out advice from the edges of the mat. Judges write notes. One division finishes and another begins. The tournament moves forward with smooth organization. As the hours pass, the skill level slowly rises. The audience becomes more engaged, waiting for the senior divisions that everyone is eager to see. Bruce does not take notes. He does not need to. Years of training have given him a remarkable memory for movement. Every strike, every stance, every detail is quietly stored and compared with what he already understands. Then, at 11:15, a new presence steps onto the auditorium floor. Steven Seagal. He is 20 years old. Tall, around 6'4", and built with the strength of someone who has trained seriously since childhood. He has practiced Aikido since the age of 7, and the confidence of 13 years of discipline shows clearly in the way he moves. He wears a white gi and a black belt. 2 training partners walk beside him, both also in white uniforms and noticeably smaller. That is not unusual. At 20 years old, Steven Seagal is already a large and powerful figure. He carries himself with the relaxed certainty of someone who expects attention and is used to receiving it. His blonde hair is thick, slightly untidy from training. His expression is open and confident, the look of someone who has not yet encountered a situation that truly challenges him. The audience notices him immediately. Large people who move with confidence often draw attention without trying, and this auditorium is no different. The Aikido demonstration is scheduled between the morning and afternoon competitions. In 1972, the style is still unfamiliar to much of the Los Angeles martial arts community, so the crowd watches with genuine curiosity. Seagal and his partners begin. Their movements are smooth and controlled. The technique is real, practiced, and disciplined. It is important to understand this moment clearly. What follows later does not erase what is happening now. A young martial artist with 13 years of training is demonstrating a complex art with confidence. The timing is sharp, the control is precise, and the throws are clean. The joint locks are clean and precise. Each movement follows the central idea of Aikido, the belief that force does not always need to meet force directly. Instead, it can be received, guided, and redirected until the opponent's own momentum becomes part of the technique. The philosophy becomes visible through movement. The audience understands what they are seeing. A quiet sound moves through the auditorium, the subtle reaction of martial artists recognizing skill when they see it. It is not loud applause, but a respectful murmur of appreciation. In the third row, Bruce Lee watches with the same focused attention he has shown all morning. His eyes move carefully from technique to posture, from movement to intention. He studies both the art and the person performing it. Seagal's two partners fall and recover smoothly. Their roles are practiced and controlled, the result of years spent learning how to land safely. The demonstration gradually grows more complex. The techniques become wider, faster, more dramatic. Seagal moves with growing confidence. At one moment, he lifts one partner entirely off the floor with a single arm. The crowd reacts immediately. Whatever else can be said about Steven Seagal at 20 years old, one thing is obvious: he is powerful. Tall, strong, and seriously trained. He carries a physical presence that naturally commands attention. During the demonstration, his face shows a clear enjoyment. It is the simple satisfaction of someone doing something they know they do well. In the third row, Bruce Lee's expression remains unchanged. Calm. Observant. Attentive. He watches the techniques and the body performing them at the same time, quietly, studying both. Eventually the demonstration ends. Seagal steps away from the floor as several coaches and practitioners approach to congratulate him. The mood around him is positive. People speak, shake hands, and share quick observations about what they have just seen. Then one of Seagal's training partners leans closer and quietly says something. Seagal turns and looks toward the third row. His eyes settle on Bruce Lee, who is still sitting where he has been since the morning began. Dark jacket, calm posture, watching the next group of competitors warming up on the far side of the floor. For a moment, Seagal simply studies him. He seems to process the information he has just received. Then he says something briefly to his partner and begins walking toward the bleachers. His stride is relaxed and confident, the natural walk of someone who expects space to open in front of him and usually finds that it does. A few people nearby notice him approaching Bruce Lee. The atmosphere shifts slightly, the way a room shifts when something unexpected may be about to happen. Seagal stops at the railing in front of the third row. Bruce Lee looks up. Standing above him is a tall young martial artist in a white GI and black belt, blonde hair slightly messy from training. The difference in size is obvious. At 6'4" and around 240 pounds, Seagal's physical presence is difficult to ignore. He looks down with a friendly expression, though there is also an awareness of the size difference that quietly sits beneath the conversation. He says that he has heard of Bruce Lee. He mentions that Bruce Lee appears in movies. The way he says it carries a certain implication, the unspoken idea that what happens in films is different from what happens in real training halls around them. The nearby spectators grow very still. They sense something interesting is unfolding and choose to watch without interrupting. Bruce Lee responds simply. He says that he saw the demonstration. He says the Aikido was good. His voice is calm and even the same steady tone he uses for everything. There is no performance in it, only a straightforward statement. Seagal accepts the compliment easily. At 20 years old, confidence comes naturally to him. He explains that Aikido is the most complete martial art. He says that in a real situation, against a real opponent, it is unmatched. He speaks with the certainty of someone who has trained seriously and experienced success. So far, his experience has supported that belief. Bruce Lee listens without interrupting. When someone else is speaking, he allows them to finish. He does not add words where they are not needed. Then he finally responds. People who were present that morning would remember this moment for years afterward. Bruce Lee smiles. It is an easy, relaxed smile, the kind that appears when someone offers a challenge they assume will simply remain a suggestion. And in that same calm voice he says, "Stand against me for 30 seconds, and I will call you master." He says it while standing above Bruce Lee in the third row of the Olympic Auditorium on a Tuesday morning in July 1972. His voice carries the relaxed confidence of a tall young martial artist who has just finished an impressive demonstration and now speaks to someone sitting quietly among the spectators. To Seagal, it feels almost like a friendly gesture, a generous offer. The kind of challenge someone gives when they believe it will never truly be tested. Around them, the nearby audience is no longer pretending not to listen. A few people in the next row lean slightly forward. Several more in the rows behind shift their attention toward the conversation. Even the tournament organizer, a man in a gray suit holding a clipboard, looks up. Bruce Lee remains quiet for a moment, not the silence of hesitation, but the brief pause of someone finishing a thought. Before speaking, then he stands. He does not rise with any dramatic preparation. He simply stands the same way he stands up from any chair, smoothly, without extra motion. Now the difference in size becomes impossible to ignore. Steven Seagal stands at 6'4". Bruce Lee stands at 5'7". The distance between those two heights is very real. Bruce Lee looks at him and calmly says, "All right." One simple word. It is the answer of someone who heard the offer and accepted it, without adding anything unnecessary. For a brief second, Seagal blinks. That was not the response he expected. He had imagined a polite refusal or perhaps a friendly joke. Instead, he received agreement. He takes a moment to process that difference. Then his confident expression returns. He nods and steps back from the railing. The two men walk toward the edge of the competition floor. Word spreads quickly through the auditorium. No announcement is made, but information travels through a room full of attentive people with surprising speed. Competitors pause. Coaches look up. Spectators turn their heads. Seagal's training partners step aside to clear space. The judges at their table look toward the floor. The tournament organizer, a compact Japanese-American man who has managed martial arts events in Los Angeles for years, stands up quietly and watches. He does not interfere. Some moments, experience teaches you to simply observe. Nearly 500 people inside the Olympic Auditorium now focus on two figures standing near the mat. The feeling in the room changes. Demonstrations usually carry an atmosphere of appreciation and comfort. This moment carries something different. It is the quiet tension of practitioners who know enough to understand that anything could happen. Seagal takes his stance. His body moves into the familiar posture shaped by years of training. Weight balanced. Hands ready. The geometry of Aikido preparation that has become second nature after more than a decade of practice. He looks ready and confident. Across from him, Bruce Lee stands differently. No formal stance. Arms resting naturally at his sides. His body relaxed, yet completely available to move in any direction. The posture of someone who no longer depends on fixed starting positions. His expression remains calm. The same calm expression he had when Seagal first approached him. The auditorium grows very quiet. The lights above the floor hum softly. Outside on Grand Avenue, traffic continues its ordinary Tuesday routine, unaware that inside this building 500 people are watching something unscheduled unfold. Seagal moves first. His motion carries the full commitment of someone who trusts his training. His body launches into the opening technique he has practiced thousands of times. A movement that has worked again and again during years of training. It is a real technique, delivered with real intent. But when it reaches the place where Bruce Lee stood a moment before, Bruce Lee is no longer there. He has shifted slightly to the side and forward at the same time. The movement is so small that many people later argue about whether they even saw it. Seagal's technique continues through empty space. For a brief instant, his momentum carries him forward. Then Bruce Lee's right hand moves, not a large motion, not a dramatic strike, Just a quick, precise touch at the front of Seagal's throat. Exactly. Where the body is naturally sensitive, the contact lasts only a fraction of a second, but it is perfectly placed. The message it sends is simple. For one brief moment, Steven Seagal cannot breathe normally. His body reacts instinctively, tightening around the sudden pressure. It is not pain that surprises him, but the unexpected interruption of breath. The sensation lasts only a moment, but in that moment, the realization arrives clearly. The exchange is already over. His legs do not receive the message that keeps a person standing. Instead, they receive a different signal, the one the body sends. When something essential has been briefly interrupted, and that message is simple. Fall. Steven Seagal falls. 6'4", 240 pounds. A young martial artist dropping to the floor of the Olympic Auditorium in the unmistakable way large bodies fall when balance disappears completely. Not a controlled step. Not a stumble, a fall. His full frame reaches the floor as his hands instinctively move toward his throat. His mouth opens, searching for air that is already beginning to return but has not fully settled yet. The body restores itself step by step, the way it always does. Those few seconds on the floor feel longer than they are. 5 quiet seconds that deliver one of the clearest lessons of his young life. For 4 full seconds, the Olympic Auditorium is silent. 500 people who have spent their lives studying martial arts. People who have seen throws, knockdowns, submissions, and every kind of technique imaginable say nothing. What they have just witnessed does not belong neatly to any single category. It happened too quickly, too precisely. Many are still processing the beginning of the exchange while the ending has already passed. Bruce Lee stands exactly where he stood before. His right hand rests calmly at his side. His expression remains unchanged, calm, steady, and free of unnecessary emotion. To him, the moment is already complete. Seagal's breathing returns fully. Air fills his lungs again, suddenly and deeply, with the unmistakable relief that follows. A brief interruption. He draws it in slowly, like someone newly aware of something he had always taken for granted. He rolls onto his side. Then he pushes himself up to his knees. Another breath. He looks up at Bruce Lee standing in front of him, and his expression is different now. It is the expression of someone who arrived with confidence and has just discovered a wider perspective. He came into the auditorium with 13 years of training and absolute certainty. Now, he leaves with something even more valuable, the understanding that somewhere in the world, there is always someone who has traveled further along the path. That realization does not erase what he has built. It simply places it within a larger picture. He stands up, straightens his posture, looks directly at Bruce Lee and says, "You are a master." His voice carries no hesitation. It is not the completion of a challenge. It is simply an honest recognition. Bruce Lee looks at him for a moment, then he nods once, without another word. He turns and walks back toward the third row of the bleachers. He picks up his dark jacket, slips it on, and calmly heads toward the exit. He moves through the crowd with the same quiet economy he had when he arrived. Only now, the people around him watch differently. Many who did not notice him before now step aside respectfully as he passes, outside on Grand Avenue. Tuesday morning continues exactly as it did before. Cars move through traffic. Buses stop and start. The city carries on toward the afternoon, unaware of what just occurred inside the building. Inside the Olympic Auditorium, Steven Seagal remains standing on the competition floor for a moment. The room slowly begins to fill with sound again, as people start speaking and shifting in their seats, but around him there is still a small pocket of silence. His 2 training partners approach him quietly. They do not speak. There is nothing they need to say. Seagal glances down at the exact spot on the hardwood floor where he landed moments earlier. The same square of polished wood where the challenge ended, almost as soon as it began. 7 seconds, that is all it took. 7 seconds between the confidence he carried into the moment and the understanding he now holds. He realizes that the distance between those two things is not small. It is the greatest distance he has traveled in his life, and he traveled it without leaving the room. The tournament organizer approaches him gently and asks if he is all right. Seagal nods and says yes. The word carries more meaning than it sounds. Physically, he is fine. What he is processing has nothing to do with injury. The organizer nods and returns to his table. The tournament must continue. The afternoon divisions begin soon, and the Olympic Auditorium has a schedule to follow. Seagal watches him walk away. Then he looks once more toward the exit where Bruce Lee disappeared, a single doorway in a large building on an ordinary Tuesday morning. But for Steven Seagal, it marks the moment he discovered the true edge of his own certainty, not written in theory. Written on hardwood, 7 seconds long, a lesson his body and his memory will carry with him for the rest of his life.